Good afternoon, guys. My name's Amanda. I am one of the registered dietitians here with the World Trade Center Health and Wellness Program. Today, we are going to be presenting our virtual wellness seminar focused on overcoming our weight loss barriers. So this is going to be similar to the one we did on GERD in addition to the previous one. So it's building upon it from last year. However, we don't expect everybody to memorize everything from last year. So you will see some summaries gone over from our previous presentation, which is also available on our WTC nutrition website. So without further ado, I will continue with the next slide. So a common statement that we hear is, I know what I need to do, but I just have to do it. I'll start insert Monday, I'll start Tuesday, or I'll start next week. Instead, we have to rephrase that common phrasing by saying, I know I should be making better choices right now, but I need to break down my barriers and plan how I am going to overcome them, or do it now, right? So for example, if we go out to eat on a Sunday morning and have, waffles or pancakes with some whipped cream and some syrup like a normal human being from time to time, it doesn't mean the whole day is kibosh and that, oh, I'll just start fresh tomorrow. Okay, let me start fresh at the next meal, or can I go for a walk after? Every moment is a new moment to take a step towards our goals. Anyone can stop me. We're in a smaller group today along the way. If there's questions or if there's something you can't hear appropriately or see, I am definitely here to assist you in that manner. So we're going to go into these common barriers that many of us can, relate to. Of course, we're going to go somewhat in this order, but a lot of these barriers somewhat feed off of each other. So there'll be some grouping out as well. But most common you'll see is the emotional or stress eating, or I'll call emotion or feeling based eating. Like boredom isn't necessarily an emotion, but rather a feeling, for example. So when you break down emotional eating, uh, when we were babies, we ate when we were hungry and we stopped when we were full, right? As we grow, so does our relationship with food, however. We begin to associate eating with different environments, moods, bodily needs. Sometimes there's confusion with different sensations. At times, our mind focuses on different things and we disconnect from our body's physiological cues. Understanding the different cues, or the three cues, which is environmental, physiological, and feelings or emotion-based cues, is a way to tap back into our intuitive eating, which is, oh, my body is telling me I'm hungry, I will eat. My body is telling me I'm satiated, I will stop. For example, we once had when we were improving our relationship with food long ago. So for environmental, that's one of the smaller branches of the three. It's, keeping healthier foods like a fruit bowl in sight in mind, keeping foods, cut up and accessible in the refrigerator towards the front, less optimal options, maybe in smaller portions or in portion sized bags, or not even in the home, left as like a social splurge, for example. But also environmental is sometimes who we're eating with around the table, which we will get to in terms of pace of eating and the setup of our meals and our schedule. But most importantly to highlight is, if we fail to prepare, we shall prepare to fail. And we will get further into that throughout today's presentation. This is the most kind of convoluted slide out of all of them for the rest of the day, so please bear with me. So physiological cues and needs. So of course, I call it if anybody's done counseling with me, it's the two devils on one shoulders, right? So you want to conquer the physiological needs and the psychological needs. First, let's try squashing the physiological by meal timing, right? If we catch ourselves that classic emotional eating at night, or boredom eating, relaxation eating, you want to ask yourself, what does hunger mean to you, right? Reground yourself in what does that feel like? You can also look at your meal timing. Ideally, you want to eat every 3 to 4 hours in a breakfast, lunch, dinner pattern, because often we find those who are binging or emotional eating at night tend not to be getting enough calories earlier in the day. And yes, of course, weight loss is about a calorie deficit, but too extreme of a deficit can be shooting our own selves in the foot, unfortunately. Sometimes our hypothalamus can work against us in that it cues us or tells our body that, hey, we're thirsty, or hey, we're hungry, or hey, we're tired. And it's easy to get those cues kind of mixed up sometimes. Am I tired and need to nap, or am I tired and my blood sugar is going low and I need to eat something? Hydration's the same way, because your body really doesn't care if it gets water from food, like fruits and vegetables, or from a water bottle that you keep in sight and mind. So if we're dehydrated, it's easy to accidentally overeat because our hypothalamus will send us those cues from time to time. Fibers is pivotal. Cannot express the benefits of fiber greater. If there's one thing that you take away from this is increasing fiber intake. Men actually need 38 grams. Women need actually 26 grams per day. That's in your plants like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans and legumes. So hydration, of course, fiber helps to keep you full. It takes up space in the stomach. It is an indigestible component of food. So when you're putting that indigestible food into your stomach and it's taking up space, it tends to be what's called nutrient dense, but not very energy dense. So you're feeling full of something like, say, broccoli that's taking up space in your gut. And it's helping us to portion that. Maybe if I have some broccoli on my plate with my rice and chicken, then I'm going to eat maybe a little less rice, and hopefully it'll help me keep my carb count down, but I won't have that negative side of feeling that, oh, I'm being deprived, when really our stomach is not growling because of it. Variety, of course, because we're all humans, and you need satisfaction from your meals and can't eat the same thing every day like a robot. Some people can, but long term, it doesn't really last more than 3 months. You got to add variety in sometimes to help with that. And of course, a variety of macronutrients. Pairing protein, healthy fat with higher fiber carbs are going to hold you over longer. So if you're doing those basic physiological needs and assisting with those basic physiological needs, it helps with that feelings-based cues, because you're not having your hormones like leptin and ghrelin go rampant and say, I'm so hungry, and then couple that with the emotional need for food. It's a little easier to stay mindful and grounded and swap. Now, if the physiological is covered and you're like, man, I'm still emotional eating, you want to look at why we're emotional eating. What am I feeling in this moment? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling happy? Is food love, food stress, food celebration, procrastination, reward? Is it just a plain old habit for that time of day or that person? And then we can't just stick our heads in the sand and ignore it, because that never really works with things. We have to kind of replace that habit instead. So it's looking at, okay, if I'm going towards this food because I'm stressed, what would be a healthier thing for me to do while I'm stressed to equally acknowledge and cope for the emotion? Because if we stick our head in the sand, we're going to eventually pop our head up out of the sand and go for food. So, petting the dog, calling a loved one, going for a walk, or at least doing a portioned healthier option, which we can get to later, is a good way to assist with that. But I can do a whole presentation on emotional eating. So we will go further into this. And there is also an emotional eating presentation on our Stony Brook website as well for you guys to check out. Self-care is another step to help with that emotional eating. So this is like options, as I was saying before, for you to reconnect with and say, okay, maybe if it's physical self-care versus mental self-care versus spiritual self-care, these are things that we can do solely for ourselves. They don't have to be done just to be productive or check something off the to-do list, but rather just because it feels good for you and you're a person who deserves to have care and to love yourself. Because why do we all work full time and run around like psychos for what? We got to enjoy our life too. So it's the little things in life that help. And if you're not getting those little things, sometimes that food is that outlet for it. And hobbies, this is where hobbies come into play as well. Barrier 2, lack of planning or eating out too much. So this is what I was saying earlier. We're going to be doing some combinations of these common quote unquote diet or nutrition problems that drive us all crazy. So just like anything else you want to achieve, you have to plan for it, right? You want to get that job, you got to plan for it. You want to plan that event, or you want to do that triathlon, you got to plan for it. Same with diet. Sometimes we underestimate ourselves and we think, okay, I can just grab this on the go. And if we fail to prepare to fail. So set an appointment with yourself. If you have a busy day and you don't have lunch, plan it in advance. Put it in the schedule. I don't book any meetings between X time and Y time. Or when I get home, I set an appointment. 4:45 to 5:45, that's when I go for my walk. Set it and respect it. And most importantly, like how you would respect a doctor's appointment or a work meeting, for example. You have to respect yourself. Set a time aside that if you're not the person that does a lot of the meal prep or the grocery shopping, set time aside to speak with the person who does go shopping and to create a list together. Maybe pick out 2 to 3 recipes that you both really would like and enjoy. So there's more of a plan for the week. Maybe write out a few snacks for that person. Take our brand recommendations if you want and circle them and you send it with them to the store. But take a moment to have that 15-minute conversation, because even though it sounds like a struggle to have that 15-minute conversation, if time is the barrier, you're going to spend a lot more time on the back end looking for food throughout your week and maybe not get the most healthy options. Set realistic expectations. Like I said, consider 2 to 3 recipes. You'll see here this little graphic on the bottom left. It's our meal prep spectrum. Often when we envision meal prep, we think of meal prep as I'm going to plan every little snack and meal for the week, which I think is a little weird sometimes too, because how do you know what you want to eat on Friday? So more so it's having a plan and having the foods in place. Lay out 2 to 3 recipes. See if you could take those recipes as leftovers if you cook them in bulk for lunch the next day. Pick a couple snacks for the week. Remember, pair a protein, healthy fat with a carb. Like I was saying, mix macronutrients together so that you feel full. And simply start there. If we're not up to that point and simply just planning snacks is the answer, see what you're most comfortable with. But most importantly, think about how can I just be a little bit healthier today or a little bit more conscious today than I was yesterday. And don't fall into the one thing I'm seeing so much, and I'm going to speak really honestly about this, is intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting is good at its core with the intended use of people seeing it as just a time window. And of course, it's not a diet, it's just a timing of eating. But I think a lot of people will use it as an excuse just to skip breakfast and then maybe even skip lunch. And then they end up binging at night and not sleeping well and feeling really bloated and having GI distress and discomfort. Start simple. Start with breakfast, lunch, dinner first. See if you can do that. See if you can have protein in every meal, at least your palm. See where you're at with your vegetables. Can I maybe eat one more vegetable a day? Can I start to increase my activity? Start with simple steps. When we're jumping right into fasting, sometimes when we're going those longer periods without eating, it can be very triggering for some to lead to a binge or not get enough protein, for example, within their day. And lead to a deficit in muscle loss versus fat loss when they are dieting. Again, of course, as we always say in our sessions here on our virtual wellness seminars, WTC responders can schedule nutrition counseling appointments with registered dietitians. You can just give us a call, call us. Hey, Amanda, I've got this question. Can you just answer it for me really quickly? Send it in an email or a phone call. We're always here to assist. If you find that time is truly a barrier and you're the sole person in the house or no one's able to cook, and also we might just be learning how to cook, the meal prep services can be something you lean towards. Something like Freshly or Blue Apron teaches you somewhat how to cook healthier portion meals along the way. So they give you the pre-portioned ingredients and the recipes and you assemble it. Other ones like say Hummus Fit, Eat Better Meals, Bistro MD, they're just going to give you the prepped meal ready to go and you heat it up. So you got to see where you're falling on that spectrum and what your individual needs are. I personally love Instacart. I'm a human too, even though I'm a dietitian. Sometimes there's some weeks that life is busy. You're juggling jobs, you're juggling people, and you don't have time to go to the grocery store. So if I fail to prepare, I'm going to fail. So instead, maybe order on Instacart so at least you get a couple of things in the house. And yeah, I know there's a little bit of a price bump sometimes with Instacart. It's not something to lean upon every week, but sometimes it's a lot cheaper than buying takeout anyway, and you're going to get healthier options. So, and you can also, a common barrier people will say with Instacart, and no, I promise I do not work for them, is you can put replacements in. Yes, if you're ordering a lot of produce and meat, you want to hope that you have a good person who knows how to pick it out, but you do not have to accept any foods that you personally would not buy. Let's see, next. Pre-logging. This is another concept. So you can set an intention for the week. Maybe you start with just planning breakfasts and when you're going to exercise, or planning just lunches or dinners, but you're setting the intention in advance of what you're going to have. Maybe put it up on the fridge. I like to use a little dry erase board on my fridge. And, when someone empties something out, instead of throwing it over to Alexa, we will handwrite it on the fridge so that we have a list kind of going and there's communication. Every household is different. You got to find what works best for you. We help you guys out with that in counseling. And this is a common question. Yes, significant others or children or siblings, supporters in general are allowed to come to nutrition counseling with you. So barrier number 3 is cravings. I feel that. So especially cravings are going to come in if we are going a long time without eating. Just it's normal to eat food. It's not normal to not eat food, to be honest with you. So you want to try to eat every 3-4 hours, especially if you're going a long time without eating and you find that you're craving a lot of sugar at night. Yes, there's different reasons why we could be craving sugar, but often find the most common things are people are not getting enough of the, I don't want to say good because there's no morality associated with our food choices, but they're not getting enough of the proper carbohydrates. Like fruits are carbs, vegetables are carbs, whole grains are carbs, beans are carbs, legumes are carbs. Not getting enough of those high fiber complex carbs during their day that also regulates their blood sugar. So when we don't eat enough of those, your body's going to crave carbs. So if we don't get it in that form, where are we going to get it by the time we're super hungry and we need that energy and our body's like, please give me food, Seymour? It's going to come in the form of sugar because it's the most quickly absorbed of the macronutrients, the main macronutrients for your body to absorb and make into energy. Hydration, like I was saying before, your hypothalamus sends similar cues if you're dehydrated or not. So make sure you're drinking at least 64 fluid ounces for most individuals. If you have your calorie needs calculated from when you came into your WTC monitoring visit, as now we're doing the body composition scale. So this is a special note for anybody with visits coming up. You can have your body composition assessed. So you want to just make sure you stay fasting before or after your blood work, especially. No caffeine, plenty of water, no exercise because we're looking at water displacement. So if we dehydrate, it's not going to be accurate. That will tell you your calorie needs. One of the most accurate ways to find out your water needs is for every calorie you need a milliliter of water to help with that. Also, for every hour of physical activity, you want to try to add at least 16 fluid ounces. So that's why I say a minimum of 64 to upwards to about 120 ounces a day. Sleep. If we are sleep deprived, it can lead to increased cravings of saturated fat, which is that solid fat at room temperature. If it's solid at room temperature outside of your body, it's likely going to be solid at room temperature inside your body. So think about circulating cholesterol. So of course, sleep deprivation can increase those cravings. So that's another reason why you want to make sure you eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, have healthy meals planned so that you have that healthier option in front of you. And most importantly, focus on observing a structured sleep schedule. Try to go to bed at the same time every night and work with your sleep doctor if you're having any difficulty with your sleep apnea. Our case management team is also here to assist. And during counseling, we can also assist in getting together a healthy evening routine to help ease us into sleep, and especially how food impacts that, especially if we're eating a lot of sugar right before going to bed, which pulls a lot of water to our stomach, makes us feel bloated, uncomfortable. It's hard for me to sleep like that because it's just going to also raise our blood sugars and keep us more alert. Variety, satisfaction factor, like we were talking about, and controlling cravings by having satiation through protein, fiber, fat, and water in our meals. Keep yourself busy, of course, helps to control cravings. With those self-care techniques are one. Create non-food related rewards for healthy eating. So, okay, I did really good this week. I had 2 to 3 vegetables every day of the week. Awesome, rock on. I'm going to buy myself a new pair of sneakers because I did it. Or I'm going to go to this really awesome park that I want to go to or something. But avoid having food rewards if possible. When in doubt, give in to a healthy snack. So if you're having these intense cravings, sorry, something had popped up on the screen. So if you're having these intense cravings and there's nothing you can do and you keep, someone is playing with my screen, guys. Excuse me. Can you guys still see the PowerPoint? Hello?
No, I cannot see it.
Testing. Hello?
Linda.
I'm sorry, Amanda. I did something on my computer.
Oh, thank you. Hold on. I'm just going to try to connect the presentation. No problem. That's an easy fix. Just give me one moment. Share. Let me do this. Share. Oh, perfect. All right. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, it's back now.
Thank you.
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. So when in doubt, have a healthy snack. So if you're really, really craving something and there's nothing you could do, and you're like, Amanda, I've tried free cleaning because, everyone has their own things. I've tried taking a shower, doing a mask, calling a friend, playing with the dog. I've tried a bunch of things. I still really want this food. Okay, it's all right. It happens. So at least have that healthier option. So if I'm craving something sweet like cake, and I know that cake from Labor Day or pie from Labor Day is calling my name on the dining room table or in the kitchen, can I do maybe some fruit with granola and maybe a little bit of Greek yogurt instead with a hint of like whipped cream and maybe some chocolate syrup to maybe feel like I'm having an indulgence, but at least I'm making it a healthier swap. Eat it slow, enjoy it, and try to avoid the TV, which takes our attention off of our meals. Next, these are some healthy food swaps, for example, that you'll see on our website with our snacking cheat sheets. We also have here the comfort food swaps options. So simple, like switching pizza for cauliflower pizza, or having white pasta for chickpea pasta, zucchini noodles of some kind, or a spaghetti squash, to even over here playing with our condiments. Instead of mayo, can I use different herbs or spices, olive oil, avocado, mustard, and experimenting. So this is all up on that WTC nutrition website. If anybody has any difficulty finding that site, please let us know. It's just that in your WTC, if you Google WTC Stony Brook under member resources, nutrition, that's where you can find all of our resources there. Next, of course, another common barrier number 4, is eating too quickly or large portions. So you're going to notice I'm kind of being a little repetitive because a lot of the common solutions, which is a good thing, multiple birds, one stone, right? Solve a lot of these common barriers. So of course, eating too quickly. If I'm starving Marvin and I'm commuting from Jamaica and I don't eat anything from 12 o'clock to 6, 7 o'clock, I'm going to come in the door starving. So I better put a high protein snack in the car on the way home or the train on the way home so I feel a little bit more satiated. That's this hunger fullness scale. So the closer I get to 1, right? So if I go, 6 hours without eating, 4 hours even without eating, knowing myself, I'm going to be more likely to stop at 10, right? Overstuffed or feeling sick. The closer you get to 1, more likely we're going to end at 10 because it's just, I'm so hungry. I'm eating quicker. When I'm eating quicker, my vagus nerve takes more time to get from my gut to my brain to say, hey, silly, you're full. Stop eating. It takes a little bit of time. So with that also being said, you want to listen to your body, honor yourself and say, no, I'm not going to just push through this. I deserve to eat a little something and be prepared and have something on me. And maybe eat around like a 3 or a 4, that first onset of hunger. It sounds simple enough, but everybody's different. And this is where I want you reflecting to yourself and saying, what does hunger physiologically feel like for me? Is it a little lightheadedness? Is it a little drop in energy? Are we blessed and do we get hunger cues? Is it just an empty, hollow feeling in our stomach? What does that feel like for you? And if you don't have that sensation, we got to look at a couple of different things. Are we maybe eating routinely too much throughout the day and not getting enough gaps? Are we eating different time periods throughout the day so our circadian rhythm isn't used to giving us cues? And at that point, you want to try to have a routine eating schedule and hope that the body will start to give you cues in consistency with that time. So with slowing down when you're eating, it helps to control portions physiologically, like I was saying, with the vagus nerve. Reason 2, psychology. When you slow down, you take the time to really taste your food. I know sometimes I can eat almost at the same pace as my dog. And then I even look at them and I go, are you tasting your food? Because I'm probably not when I eat that fast either. So it sounds kind of funny, but you want to bring gratitude into your meal timing and say, wow, this food took a lot of time to come together. This food costs money. I want to taste it. I want to look at the 5 senses of it. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like on my palate? How can I, tweak this next time and make this recipe even better? How can I make conversation with the people at my meal table to maybe hopefully help me to slow down? Some different cues is I tell a lot of my members to, time yourself with your significant other. My boyfriend eats a lot slower than me, so I try to time myself with him. Take pauses. What do you think about the meal? What do you want to do with it? Remove TV, remove all distractions, of course. And this goes back to that Mediterranean meal table, which is the one of the cornerstones of that Mediterranean lifestyle. Next barrier is barrier 5. What do I eat? Like, some people have gotten so much news lately. Oh, do I go paleo? Do I go vegan, Mediterranean? All this conflicting information. You want to find what works best for you. And that means working with a dietitian to figure out what works best for you, and also through trial and error. A good rule of thumb, though, for most individuals is to try to aim between about 300 and 600 calories per meal, about 150 to 300 calories per snack. Listen to your body. If it's feeling full, but you have, 500 calories left, or you went over a little bit, but you're starving, your body's telling you you need energy. Food is your friend, not starving yourself. I mean, intermittent fasting is what we wrote here. Eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, 1 to 2 snacks, and try to stay consistent in a meal pattern. If that meal pattern does not work for you based on your schedule, we can experiment with different timing regimens. Again, that's a very individualized thing. You want to aim to stay within overall a 12-hour eating window. So if I break my fast around 8 a.m., I want to try to stop around 8 p.m. and give myself at least 2 hours before I go to bed to digest and prevent any acid reflux. You want to make sure, of course, at meals, this is a good guideline to follow, that USDA MyPlate. With snacks, of course, pair protein, healthy fat with carbohydrates. Like I was saying, the complex ones like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans and legumes. But it's okay to have some, chocolate, or, real people food sometimes. It's all about balance in our diet. Barrier 6, lack of social support. So social support is big. Social support is the perception that one has care, assistance available for them and their social support in their social circle. Here we try our best to give you guys social support in every manner. So if you call us, if you email us, if you have counseling appointments, we're here to be your teammate. You're not in this alone. We're a part of it. We're one big team together. A common barrier that people run into around dinner time with the social support is that they're trying to cook healthier, but for some reason, certain family members are not as on board, or maybe they have allergies, or just certain foods they really just don't like, and that's okay. You're not here to change other people. You're here to hopefully influence others through your actions, but overall, you can only control yourself, right? So, of course, what we can do is review recipes together with individuals, maybe try to cook together, so that they can be a part of the process and maybe remove or take away different components. Can you make an interchangeable side dish? So remove the vegetables from the inside the dish and have it on the side. Or if they're vegan and you're trying to eat more fish, can that be swapped? Can they have tofu and you have fish, and they assist with cooking the tofu and you cook the fish, for example, and it's just a part of the meal with interchangeable sides. And the more people you share your goals with, the more likely you are to achieve them. The thought is because you would have more people in your circle to support you, but also it's you committing to those goals. The more you verbalize them, the more tangible they are, the more real they are. It's not just an absent thought. Social support, exercise. This is a common one that I hear a lot, and I'm going to be really honest. I'm losing sympathy for it because I'm in the same boat. I see a lot of people in the same boat. I know we want to work out with people. We want an accountability buddy, right? I love that idea. But we can't change other people. So if other people are not showing up for themselves, you got to still show up for you. So, for example, if your significant other is usually your walking buddy, but they're injured, that's a normal thing to have happen. You want to still go, even if they're not there. Make an environment you want to be in. If it's an environment you don't feel safe going by yourself, that's okay. Maybe go at a gym where there's others around, and we could simply walk on the treadmill, or go to Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, the mall, a social environment so we're not fully alone. Or walking the neighborhood if we don't want to be around too many people is another concept we can look at. But at the end of the day, go without them if you can. Yes, of course, it's great to go with them, but we have to make plans and goals for us, and we have to worry about ourselves and try to bring others up with us, but we can't force others either. Set an appointment with the people, though, too. If they have a busy schedule and the reason is that maybe we're retired or something and they're still working, or they have a different schedule from us, can we set an appointment? Hey, Saturdays, we go and walk at Sunken Meadow at 9 o'clock. So it's a set intention, and you schedule it so that you can avoid overlapping other appointments and things that you want to do. You can also call people out in a friendly way. I do it to my boyfriend sometimes. I'll be like, hey, Brian, I noticed that you've been not so active lately. Are you injured? Is something going on? No. Okay. Is this something that you want to do? Yeah, it's something I want to do, but maybe on a lower level. It seems like you want to go more often or you want to go less often, but I want to go at this time. You don't know what's going on in the other person's head unless you talk to them and you try to brainstorm together. How can we come to a compromise or a common solution together to resolve this issue? But the conversation doesn't happen, the issue never gets resolved. Recognizing detractors. I've been hearing a lot less about this in counseling, but of course, I think it still goes on in the world. Some people might not be so kind towards us when we're overcoming our own barriers and struggles when it comes to weight and healthy eating. So recognizing jealousy can be something. You want to understand where certain comments might be coming from. And if someone is saying certain things to us that, might make us feel a little uncomfortable or a little taken back, it's okay to say, hey, Josie, I noticed you made a comment making fun of the healthy food I'm eating and calling it bird food when I put together a whole meal and I really slaved over it. I really wanted us to enjoy it together. And I felt a little insulted that you said I eat rabbit food when I'm just trying to eat healthier foods. And it's really not rabbit food because it's about 500 calories and it's actually, seafood with beans and veggies. Where is that thought coming from? Why'd you say that to me? And sometimes when you put someone on the spot in a non-confrontational way, but in an open discussion, it helps to resolve those barriers. Sometimes it's better just not to say something though too. So if you know the person, play that card. Doing it for the right reasons. So a lot of individuals will come in and say, oh, I'm doing this because my doctor told me, or I'm doing this because my wife wants me to do it. At the end of the day, you got to do it because you want to do it. So you got to figure out why we're doing this. And that's the most important motivator. It's the why isn't I want to lose weight. It's why do we want to lose weight, or why, not even weight associated. Why do we want to focus on healthier eating, anti-inflammatory eating? Oh, I want to run with my grandkids and play around the backyard with them. I want to watch my daughter walk down the aisle. I want to lead a happy, healthier rest of my life. I work too darn hard my entire life. I want to enjoy it. And I want to increase my health span, not just my lifespan. So doing it for the right reasons. Overcoming negative comments. If you're criticized for weight loss methods or accused of being selfish for taking time for you to exercise, see that comment for what that is. I'm going to still focus on doing what's right for me. Self-care ain't selfish. It's actually one of the most the proper word. It's one of the least selfish actions you can take, because by you taking the time to exercise and care for yourself, you're going to be helping yourself in the future so that someone else might not have to take care of you as much, right? The goal is to walk at 90. Channel the hurt and the anger. So some people say silly things because of their own past histories with diet culture and name calling and things that go on. Consider channeling that stress and hurt and anger towards other things like exercise or journaling or calling a friend and talking about it, planning, etc., to healthfully clear your mind. Again, this is more of like an individual basis though, and something that we do discuss in counseling and provide you guys with coping strategies to mitigate these touchy barriers sometimes. In terms of recognizing detractors, like I was saying, staying motivated is a big piece of it. So if it means putting a picture of something that really motivates you, a quote on the back of your phone screen, because how many times we all look at our phone screen every day as like a reminder. If you catch yourself saying, man, I do really want to stay focused on this, I just genuinely forget. Try to leave notes for yourself. Write it in the bathroom on the mirror, a little post-it note if it's just for you, or write it in your agenda. Get a self-care journal where it makes you write an intention for every day. So you wake up every morning and you write that intention down for the day. What am I focusing on? What are my goals? How is this one day going to add to 365 days that will take me even closer to my goal with each step in each day? Create the support you need. You need to find some support somewhere else besides family, and that's okay. That's common. We're here at WTC. Of course, there's community support groups, support within your peers if you have different hobbies that you participate in. friends at the gym, there's Facebook groups, extended family. Of course, there's different therapy and counseling methods and friends. But, if you don't have the support, create the support. Take a close look at your words and actions. Are you saying one thing around those around you and then maybe doing something else? Loved ones may be frustrated because we may be, I used to do this a lot when I was younger. I'm on a diet, I'm doing this. And then I just would falter and not stick with it because it's typically a unrealistic diet, not a true lifestyle change. But then you get called out. And sometimes getting called out is a good thing. And sometimes it can hurt us. You just want to kind of take that comment and see where it's coming from. Is it coming from a place of love and intention to try to help us? Okay, listen to it. Don't take it personally, and see if, okay, how can I use this knowledge, this information that someone's noticing, and use this to benefit myself. Accepting negative comments is not the answer, though. However, it's if they're negative and saying, oh, you're eating vegetables, but I don't see you're losing weight yet, I guess you should just give up. No, that would not be an acceptable comment to accept at all. But you do want to be honest with yourself and move forward and say, okay, this person said something rather not so nice, but I'm not really losing weight. I'm eating vegetables, but maybe I need to look at other places in my lifestyle, my diet, why this isn't working, and then adapt and overcome. 5, social splurges. So we just came out of Labor Day weekend. So this is very relatable, I think. When it comes to social splurges, of course, plate power is the key. Can we balance out our plate like below and try to have at least a vegetable, a protein, and be conscious of our starches? Sometimes we want to have the potato salad, scoop a cup of that and a cup of, say, the macaroni. Maybe can we do half portions of each to reduce the starch and make sure we balance out the plate by having plenty of fiber to feel full? Yes. Avoid saving calories. I know people do this with good intentions, but it actually backfires on us more than it doesn't, in that saving calories is the concept of skipping, say, there's a dinner at 5 o'clock, skipping breakfast and lunch and maybe just having like a snack and being Marvin, going into that meal. And that's when we end up accidentally, gavoning and going towards the bread bowl. Been there, done that. So what helps with that is it's just a normal day. If you're going out to eat, it's just a normal thing to do. You eat breakfast, you eat lunch, you eat a high protein snack, just like any other day. Then go out to eat. Yeah, that's a splurge. That's a fun time. Can we optimize the plate like I was just saying? Maybe if I'm having the filet mignon as my splurge, I'll try to have a side of broccoli with it and a little thing of, maybe some potatoes. That's not really such a bad splurge, especially when you think about it in the context of that USDA My Plate. It's fairly balanced. And if we're going into it not so hungry, then we might have leftovers for the next day and it becomes 2 meals instead of 1. Bring your own healthy option if it's a social gathering like a barbecue. So can we bring a salad? Can we bring a quinoa salad, or even just bring some chicken burgers, right? Aim for proteins that swim, fly, or grow from the ground because they tend to be leaner, a little lower in calories. Also, more importantly, a better nutrient profile in that if it's not grass-fed and it's has 4 legs and walks on land, it's red meat, and it's going to have a higher propensity to have that increased saturated fat, which can raise our cholesterol a little bit. Check in with your hunger and fullness. So before you go, if you're really not super hungry, then don't have the high protein snack. But if you're already really hungry going into that meal, consider having like a kind bar, a kind mini bar based on your needs and the calories you've already taken in for the day. So even a simple banana with peanut butter, or even doing a little bit, say, of some turkey with some cheese and maybe some bell peppers rolled up, dipping with some hummus. That's a good little high protein snack right there before you go. If it's a gathering, like we're starting to head into that last half of the year when we start to have more family gatherings like Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah, avoid posting up in the kitchen, right? My family, all of us love to hang out around the island, and when all the ladies are setting up, Thanksgiving, that if, maybe it's good to take a little plate of the appetizers, go walk in the den, watch football, or go outside, play with the dogs, or play with cousins and family members and grandkids. Separate yourself from the food area. Do a post-meal walk. especially something like Thanksgiving or a barbecue, just going out with a loved one, say, hey, I want to get some time one-on-one to catch up with you. I haven't seen you in a long time. You want to go for a lap around the block and talk? That's a great way to catch up. I think walking actually gets the talking going more. Gratitude, right? Expressing gratitude towards our food and towards the situation. So we're, of course, we're New Yorkers, most of us, and we tend to love our food, but thinking about, why am I here? What's the whole purpose of today to celebrate or to think about, aside from the food? What are 2 to 3 things I'm really looking forward to besides, Aunt Kim's awesome cooking, right? Oh, I'm really looking forward to seeing, my brother John, or I'm really looking forward to seeing my cousin Susie. I really want to have some time to have a conversation with them because we don't get to catch up often. So focusing on other things can be helpful. It's almost like that distracted pivoting, like we were talking about with the emotional eating. Say no to food pushing. I know sometimes it comes from a good place. I have a Sicilian mother who thinks food is love. So I think a lot of us can come from similar family backgrounds where eat, manja, food is love, eat the food, because if you don't eat my food, it's kind of insulting, right? For some cultures. So it's okay to say no. Really, it's okay to say no. So don't let others peer pressure you. Say something simple as, I would love to eat more, but I'm so full. I really wish I could. If I was to eat more, I'm going to be really sick. And people who love you don't want you to be sick. Another thing to do is, I really like that food option. I'm too full right now. Can I get the recipe? Or, oh, can I get a little portion to bring home with me? So it's up to you what you do from that point. But at least it kind of saved you that moment that you're not getting forced food is love. Wow, that dish looks really amazing. Compliment it. I call it a sandwich. It's called an S-word sandwich, where you give a compliment, a critique, a compliment. So, wow, that food looks really amazing. Unfortunately, I'm really trying to focus on healthy eating because your family members love you and they want you to be healthy, right? I'm really focusing on healthy eating. I really want to, focus on my heart health. It's up to you how much you share. You're not obligated to share anything, though, with anybody that you don't want to share. But it smells so great. Maybe we can, take a side home with us. So notice it's compliment, critique, or whatnot, a complaint, compliment. So you're ending high and starting high. Yes, it's true. I usually say yes to offers for more food, but I'm really working on making healthier choices for my health. I've had enough, but thank you so much for offering. It's all art of the phrasing. 6, time or lack thereof. Like we've been talking about, meal prep. You could do the meal prep services, grocery shopping, consider buying things pre-chopped or frozen. Frozen fruit, honestly, as we're getting into this colder snap of the year, as I hate to say, we're heading into fall and winter. Frozen food, especially think of berries. Your berries come from California when it's not in season, around end of May, June to end of July here. You're going to get them at peak ripeness and actually a little less pesticides on them likely. So when they're frozen, they're flash frozen at peak ripeness, and then they're sent across the country. When they're flash frozen like that, it's almost like a time capsule, right? It's holding that nutrient availability there. That's how much, say, vitamin C is in it compared to when it's in California by the time it travels and gets to your plate. Versus if it's not flash frozen and it's harvested there and sent across the country, it can look beautiful, but be degraded up to 50%. So that's why we like frozen when it's not in season, but also saves money and prevents it rotting and needing to be thrown out. Frozen can last a little longer and they're easy to prepare. Consider cooking in bulk, or get the crock pot or the Instapot out so you can set it, forget it, go and clean, do whatever you want to do around the yard. Have that going, saves you some time. Keep snacks packed. If you're going to the doctor, if you're going to your WTC visit for, good 2.5 hour long visit, for some of us, an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, say, pack some snacks with you. Maybe you don't want to have the granola bar. You want to have maybe a good turkey sandwich after you do your blood work because you hadn't had breakfast and now it's getting to be 11 o'clock and you're really hungry and you're going to end up going home and getting something or stopping somewhere. And maybe because we're so hungry, it's going to be a little harder to make that healthier decision. That if you're more satiated, you don't have that, reptilian brain telling you, eat, eat, eat. I know my cognitive functioning decreases a little bit as I get hangrier and hangrier, as is normal as a human. Keep a recipe log. So if finding recipes is hard, of course we have them here for you, but you want to find what works for your palate. So if you cook something and you like it, save it. Keep a log, because now every time you go to cook it, you know more and more how to cook it. So it's going to take you less time to cook it. So keep a log, keep a bank or a database, whatever you want to call it. Hold on to your recipes that you like. Take 15 minutes to plan for the week in advance, that pre-logging sheet we talked about. Some activity is better than nothing. So if you can break up your workout into 2 15-minute blocks instead of 1 30-minute block, do it. But most importantly, be kind to yourself and do what is realistic for you when time is a barrier. Don't be cruel to yourself. Sleep is a priority. Cooking and sleep, sometimes I'm going to tell you to sleep. Another one is shift work. We see a lot of shift workers, of course. Shift workers are those who don't tend to work a typical 9 to 5. Shift workers can be many different people. It doesn't always have to be nature of the job as well. Could be those caregivers as well who are helping sick loved ones throughout the night. So you want to try to keep a routine eating pattern. Notice I'm saying multiple birds, one stone here. Eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. Sounds simple, but we all have to embrace that. Keep a routine eating pattern. So if you're coming home at, say, 7 a.m. from working the night shift, okay, maybe have a little something to get you through the drive home, to keep you awake, like some fruit, like a high protein snack, fruit with some peanut butter, or having even some hummus with some vegetables and some crackers, a little something in a little kit, or hard boiled eggs with some guacamole on a sandwich thin with maybe some cheese. It depends on how hungry you are. Of course, emphasize protein, because what's going to happen? We're going to go to sleep. So you don't want to have a high sugary beverage or something super sweet that's going to prevent you from falling asleep, because now your blood sugars are up and now you're awake and alert and ready to go. Go to sleep. By the time you wake up, you can eat your version of breakfast, right? So for some of our members, that tends to be sometime between like 11 and 2 o'clock. Eat a little something, then maybe have a snack, then eat your dinner. Then, of course, that's usually takes the person through to when they're back at work the next day, or right before they're heading into work. And then maybe have one more, quote unquote, like a dinner when there, but then try to have overall at least a 10-hour gap in eating if possible. Prioritize sleep and sleep hygiene, like I was saying, over cooking. Get your household on board, like we were saying. Share your goals. Sometimes we need social support. I have a lot of members who will come to nutrition counseling and not tell their significant other that they're doing nutrition counseling, not for a need to hide it, just they didn't think to tell them. And once they get their significant other on board, there's a little bit more assistance in terms of the prep and the grocery shopping and the coming to appointments, that the person ends up soaring when they just have a battle buddy. So share your goals. You never know who's going to step up for you. Use caffeine wisely. On a typical day, you want to avoid cutting off caffeine by about 3 p.m. So if you're going to be coming home and going to sleep after working the night shift, if you can avoid it after about 2 a.m. or so, that would be a really good goal, so that you can maybe get a deeper quality of sleep before bed in the morning. Protein and snacks, like we were saying, staying hydrated, exercise, and vitamin D, especially if we don't see the sunlight. For most people, vitamin D, at least 2000 IU, but you want to get your blood work checked with your doctor. I've been seeing too many people taking way too much vitamin D, and it can lead to liver toxicity if you're taking too much. So definitely get your vitamin D levels assessed and make sure you're taking the right amount of vitamin D. If you're getting enough or taking too much, don't want liver toxicity. Next is barrier 7, home renovations. We're not seeing this so much ever since the pandemic, but just to be safe, if your kitchen's getting renovated and you only have a microwave, of course, look at what you have accessible. You can search the various recipe websites that we give you guys. They have filters there on like Fit Foodie Finds as an example. You can search by grill, you can search by microwave, you can search by crock pot, right? So if the kitchen's getting renovated, typically someone will have hopefully a microwave, but at least a grill outside and a crock pot accessible to plug into the wall. Consider like these freezer bags, this concept here on the top left of the images, where you put everything that you need in the bag, so that when you go to cook it, you just throw it in the crock pot, set it, forget it, do what you got to do. Create a list of go-to meals and snacks from that. Of course, I didn't say the George Foreman grill and those other accessories like the air fryer. Of course, consider those. Make a list for the grocery store, another 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing. Go grocery shopping or do the pre-meal prep services and prepare what you can in advance. Kitchen confidence. We're getting more and more questions about, I just don't know how to cook, so where do I start? You start by just trying. You start by picking easier recipes with not a lot of ingredients. That's how many of us started learning, from simple recipes in the kitchen with a loved one or a friend. We're here to give you those recipes. I think the Food Network has been doing a really great job stepping up their game with healthier recipes, but they're also providing cooking classes on there, some free, some premium. So take that with a grain of salt. But there's also a lot of knife skills classes. So if we're truly, truly very new to cooking, starting with knife skills is great. And then maybe, focusing on learning how to grill first or learning how to roast first, and pick one component of prep methods to start with, or start with one different protein and become really good at that one protein, like fish or chicken first, and start there and then build at a time. Just like anything, like a sport, like a hobby, the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you're going to be. So don't be afraid of it. Vary your proteins, get comfortable with a knife. Sharper knives are healthier. Sharper knives are safer knives. So if you have the truck that drives around the neighborhood to sharpen the knives, or you have a knife sharpener, remember that your thumbs will thank me. Mise en place. So before you start, that's like what this image is right here. So it looks like they're going to be making some kind of a green bean, garlic, lemon dish, some kind with some peppers. That looks actually really good. So notice that before this person went to go start this recipe, they pulled everything that they needed in advance. They portioned it so that once they start, everything's laid out and it's much easier to do, so that your timing is correct when you do the recipe. So take everything out that you need first and make sure you have it. KISS, keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid, or keep it simple, silly. Start with lower ingredient recipes and ingredients that you know. A lot of those sites that we provide you guys in that ultimate recipes packet, like Fit Men Cook, Fit Foodie Finds, Hummus Sapien, they are simpler recipes. I really like Fit Men Cook because sometimes he'll put some wacky things out there that I'm like, I don't use tamari sauce, I use soy sauce. He'll put in parentheses soy sauce, or more classic westernized staples for you to lean on. And avoid going off recipes until you are confident. Bury 9 knowledge gaps. So I don't know. Nutrition, one day chocolate's the devil, one day chocolate's going to be the savior of the planet based on the media. So you want to look at where your information is coming from. So of course, registered dietitians, we're held to a code of ethics. With that being said, if we are recommending things that are not in good faith for the individual, it's actually something we can lose our registration for. It's a national registration. So of course, registered dietitians are reliable sources. Think twice if someone is trying to sell you something or promise get fit quick results. Look for evidence from research, not opinion or emotions. That's with most things in life nowadays. Check out sites that end in .gov, .edu, .org. Many diets, quote unquote diets, as in like a plan for weight loss, not in terms of diet, in terms of what you eat. They're out there. Some work better for others. You want to think about what works best for you and take components of each of those things to make what your diet's going to be. And at the end of the day, if you're unsure, ask us. Overcoming our barriers, recognize our barriers, brainstorm strategies to overcome them, evaluate how those strategies are working for us. Practice makes perfect. Monitor and evaluate what we're doing, what we need to tweak, and keep this going as an ongoing cycle. Always remember when you think about quitting, someone's not muted, please mute, please. Always remember when you think about quitting, think about why you started. What's your why is a common expression that we'll have. Years of eating, drinking, or being sedentary can't be reversed in a few weeks. It takes patience. Patience is a virtue. And you don't want to go losing more than a half a pound or 2 pounds per week. When losing weight, at first things are a little different, but over the general course, you want to avoid that because you want to avoid losing muscle mass. Perfect is the enemy of progress. It's 80-20, 80% of the time eating mindfully, 20, enjoy, splurge. That life's meant for living. Determination is doing what needs to be done when you don't feel like doing it. It's a hard thing, but we must think about that. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit, or I like to say consistency in habit, is what keeps you going. Mistakes are proof that you're trying. It's okay to fail. It's okay to even have a little backslide. That is normal. That's going to happen. If you're not failing, you're not trying. Every moment is another chance to change your life. You're always a decision away from making a healthier decision. Katie, my counterpart, really likes this video to show you guys to drive this point home.
Without goals, are just dreams, and ultimately they fuel disappointment. Exactly. On the road to achieving your dreams, you must apply discipline, but more importantly, consistency. Because without commitment, you'll never start, but without consistency, you'll never finish.
So starting can be difficult, guys, but consistency is what's also going to get you there. So rip off the Band-Aid of starting and stay after it. Even the simplest of goals, like going for a walk every day, can lead to miles traveled. I'm a big Teddy Roosevelt fan, so I'm not going to recite this quote to you, but if you'd like to read it, I find it to be extremely motivational. And, you know, post it in your bathroom mirror, have it on the background on your phone, but don't fritter away your time. Paper towel analogy. Day 1, it looks like a full paper towel. Day 84, though, it's starting to come away just by pulling one small sheet a day. So just remember, small steps lead to miles traveled. Does anybody have any questions for me today? Any common barriers you're running into that we have not gone into? No. All right, guys. So I want to say thank you for today's presentation and for your time and attention. If anybody has any questions down the road, we are accessible by phone and email. You can call the 631-855-1200 number. Also, you can ask to meet with a registered dietitian if you want to just have a small interaction during your monitoring visit. That's available. And we also do book longer visits, like our nutrition counseling appointments. They're about 45 minutes long in duration. Initials about 45, follow-ups are about 30. Of course, to go over any individualized needs that you have, even if it doesn't relate to weight. We do all sorts of nutrition as medicine, especially for heart health and blood sugar abnormalities or GERD. So I just want to say thank you for your time today, and I hope that you have a dry rest of your day and, you know, enjoy your day. Be well.